fall out, all of all bow wow, call tall pow, south side, outside, pow out like missile thought, fire bounce higher, powers out now. I was outside, now my power pow now. Eyes wide, should've speak utterly upside down, camera obscura, power down scuba, mama in Cuba, my it sounds good now. Out and about, title bout, bow, how loud, high lie, Mutai, Aztec, forearm, Nasdaq, abstract, freckle rockin' chow down, hazmat to deuces, diametrically outbound. Matter of fact, pass that ginger pop in the cooler than the medulla of Rick the ruler. Hula hooping with new bow downs from Newbert. That's that life of a king, got my crown now, feeling accomplished. Super looper fresh chocolate, collectible conscious, young crunk in your town now. Via minor aircraft, snapping like a bear trap. Tijuana Air Max, chainmail gauntlet. Big Bertha earthquakes, 100 dB, 90 BPM, heavy hitting them triplets, 100-sided dice, rolling 79 twice. Get ready, we bringing the jazz back with the rhythm, we giving them infamous on some Midwest liquid mission, tricky nicks and mixing, matching, scratching, rapping, action, Jackson making it happen, pap it, midi, patch it, map it with a pinch of magic, casting master sentences. We gang of wicked vixens listening close to us, flipping different widgets, mystic digits, coast to coast, pole to pole, folding time, golden time. Overload on.
After members of the South Korean boy band BTS were seen wearing clothes bearing controversial World War II imagery, the group's management has apologized. First, one BTS member was seen wearing a shirt that appeared to celebrate the atomic bombing of Nagasaki in Japan, while other photos, reportedly from 2015, surfaced later, showing another member in a hat bearing a Nazi symbol.
I'm excited to welcome some special guests to the briefing room today, pop phenoms BTS. Woohoo! While many of you may know BTS as Grammy-nominated international icons, they also play an important role as youth ambassadors, promoting a message of respect and positivity.
After members of the South Korean boy band BTS were seen wearing clothes bearing controversial World War II imagery, the group's management has apologized. First, one BTS member was seen wearing a shirt that appeared to celebrate the atomic bombing of Nagasaki in Japan, while other photos, reportedly from 2015, surfaced later, showing another member in a hat bearing a Nazi symbol.
Well, the White House hasn't seen anything like this before. K-pop supergroup, that's BTS, visited President Biden as dozens of fans waited outside hoping to catch a glimpse of these international superstars yesterday. The 7-member South Korean boy band met privately with Mr. Biden in the Oval Office before joining the daily press briefing. Now, they were there to discuss ways to stop hate crimes amid the surge in anti-Asian violence in this country.
Now, there's no doubt now that K-pop superstars BTS are one of the biggest names in world entertainment right now, but they're also at the center of a huge controversy. In Japan, a Japanese TV station has cancelled an appearance by the 7-member boy band over a T-shirt worn by one of the members. Lee Seung-jae reports.
A major Japanese television station has pulled an appearance by the hugely popular K-pop group BTS, citing controversy over a T-shirt with an image of an atomic bomb that a member wore last year to celebrate Korea's liberation from Japan after World War II. This comes as a Japanese newspaper slammed the group last month for, quote, anti-Japanese activities, noting the T-shirt worn by group member Jimin and an SNS message posted by the group's leader, RM, in celebration of Korea's Liberation Day on August 15th. Jimin's T-shirt was emblazoned with English words such as patriotism, our history, liberation, and Korea, among black and white photos of a rising mushroom cloud created by an atomic bomb, and of Koreans celebrating the end of Japanese colonial rule of Korea in 1945. RM's SNS message was posted more than 5 years ago. Given the global popularity of the group, several international media outlets reported on the controversy. While CNN referred to the T-shirt as showing an image of the bombing of Nagasaki, Reuters said the T-shirt showed an image of the bombing of Hiroshima. While many Japanese BTS fans have shown understanding, the issue has sparked an uproar in Japan, leading to a rise of anti-Korean movements throughout the nation. It also comes as ties between the two neighbors have frayed due to a diplomatic row over South Koreans forced to work for Japanese firms during World War II, and a recent ruling by South Korea's Supreme Court ordering a Japanese steel company to pay almost $90,000 to each victim. With the t-shirt controversy raging, BTS canceled plans to leave for Japan last Thursday night for the TV appearance, but the group will go ahead with this Japan tour. The string of concerts begin in Tokyo from Tuesday. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
One BTS member was seen wearing a shirt that appeared to celebrate the atomic bombing of Nagasaki in Japan. One BTS member was seen wearing a shirt that appeared to celebrate the atomic bombing of Nagasaki in Japan.
Ed O'Keefe had a front row seat to it all.
Best known for lighting up the stage, K-pop superband BTS's latest move.
Welcome to the White House. Come on up.
A meeting with President Biden at the White House.
It is a great honor to be invited to the White House today to discuss the important issues of anti-Asian hate crimes, Asian inclusion, and diversity.
The mea culpa came after the images sparked outrage within the Jewish rights group Simon Wiesenthal Center, accusing BTS of mocking the past. The LA-based center's associate dean, Rabbi Abraham Cooper, had issued an online statement saying the outrageous incidents reveal a basic lack of knowledge of history's darkest chapters that endangers the future of younger generations. The controversy led Japanese broadcasters to cancel the band's recent planned appearances. 1, 2. We're
live. All right, peace, y'all. This is DJ Radon at TTM Academy. So I'm continuing a lecture. It's funny because I was doing a BTS lecture. For anybody that doesn't know, the group BTS is a K-pop group that was they're literally wearing I can't even say it because the algorithms. They're wearing the 1945 hats from Germany. You know what I'm saying? They're wearing the N-word NAZI hats. They were wearing that hat, and they just did a bunch of fascist stuff. And Biden just invited them to the White House. But the interesting thing was I was doing a lecture on them relative to the Grammys because they lit them on the Grammys and they didn't lit Kanye in the Grammys, even though, Kanye's never worn actual brown shirt regalia. I'll just say brown shirt. And so my lecture was going to be about the Grammys and how it's messed up that, but the Grammys passed. I didn't drop it quick enough. I already had it saved or whatever. But I had done that in New York, a lecture in New York. But now Joe Biden just invited BTS to the White House, as he was signing the anti-Asian hate bill, which is almost kind of mocking all the the atrocities, the racial atrocities that have happened as far as the massacres. Just like how T.I. was saying, why aren't they doing RICO charges on the KKK? Or why aren't they doing RICO charges? Why aren't they, doing RICO charges on all these white nationalist movements and, Reddit, 4chan people and stuff like that, which he has a really good point. I do, I believe, Thugger needs to be off the streets and YSL and all the Crips and Bloods and all the real gangs need to be off the street. But, KKK needs to also be off the street too. So I agree with T.I. On that particular issue. I don't agree with him on every issue, but I agree with T.I. on that issue. And so I had this whole lecture saved about, the fact that the Grammys actually lit somebody, a group that actually wore, brown shirt regalia. And, they lit them onto their show. And then boom, a couple months later, Joe Biden actually lists them into the White House. And in the past, we've talked about, Democrats and how they've, they act like they're fighting for black folks, but they let Sarah Silverman, speak at the Democratic National Convention. Remember, she did the B-face, blackface thing, mocking my people. You know what I'm saying? She was like saying Queen Latifah. You know what I'm saying? While she was wearing B-face. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like this is a smack in the face to black folks who just endured, multiple
mass shootings, even even the cops doing nothing for all the Mexican children that lost their lives. You know what I'm saying? It's clear that the cops didn't care. They're just like they didn't go in there for 77 minutes, and they let all the Mexican children be slaughtered. But as far as BTS, I'll show the pictures of BTS, at the in Berlin. They went to Berlin and they did a photo shoot at the Holocaust Memorial, and they and this was in the midst of them wearing like fascist outfits and actual brown shirt hats, like actual circa hat, and you could try to play it off and be like, oh no, they're just doing the ancient Hindu and Eastern versions of the swastika and stuff like that. But obviously it's an old symbol, it's an ancient symbol that predates Adolf and whatnot. But in this new context, the way they were wearing it, we know the context that they were wearing it. Context matters, and they weren't just wearing it on some Buddha thing. It was literally an actual hat. It was an actual military hat. So they were wearing it within the military context. So once you put the S word within the military context, that symbol, then what happens is it takes on the context of back in the war of Nazi Germany and all that stuff. But so here at TTM Academy, we're about equality, and anytime that you got somebody that's there's a million groups that they could have brought to the White House and to represent stop Asian hate and stuff like that. But they chose to choose a group. They could have chose Melt Banana. They could have chose there's a million groups they could have chose. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big Melt Banana fan. She's really ill. But yeah, they could have chosen a lot of groups. You know what I'm saying? And they chose to do this group. So remember, they gave Black Lives Matter $1 million. BTS gave them $1 million to try to erase it on their PR. So I'm just adding this to the lecture because the lecture was just about the Grammys, but now Biden's invited them to the White House, so just it takes it to a whole bigger context. And unfortunately, YouTube's gonna block this with the algorithms and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just like if you type creepy Joe Biden or you type whatever, it's very anti news stories that don't put Democrats in the best of light. And I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm just reporting it like how I see it. And hopefully people will see that BTS is an anti-Semitic group, right? They're an anti-Semitic group, and they let them into the White House. You know what I'm saying? So they're just kind of throwing all these weird mixed messages at people. But what I really find interesting, the most interesting about all this, and Biden letting them into the White House, into the Oval Office, and they let them into the UN, the United Nations. They let them in that building. What I find most interesting about this is that Biden actually has memory loss. You know what I'm saying? We know that he's basically senile, and that's kind of what the average I'm not gonna say the average American, but I would say the average world citizen doesn't really, we get so much information. Most people don't think about, the information that they learned 3 months ago or 20 years ago and use that to judge today's situations. People, most people are living kind of with the clean slate every day, where it's almost living like a child or like an animal, where you're not, using the past to make better judgments. So it's like, if you're just living in the moment and you're like, hey, it's this cool group called BTS from South Korea, you'd be like, hey, that's great, but if you actually just Google their name and you type BTS and racism, it's gonna pop up. It'll be a million things that'll pop up, and you'll see that they were literally wearing a brown shirt hat, and then they were carrying these flags that it wasn't an actual S word, but it looked like an S word. And they're like carrying it like on the whole fascist tip, So we're going to play a bunch of clips on people's reaction to BTS and how that whole thing went down, because it's like, why would the White House invite, such an extremist group? You know what I'm saying? It's like, who cares if they gave, BLM $1 million? You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh yeah, they gave him $1 million damage control, but it's just like, it is what it is. But I'm just adding that to the rest of this lecture, because the lecture was just about the fact that they got invited to the Grammys and Kanye didn't. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just, it shows that still in this society, us black folks, we're still at the bottom of the totem pole as far as the caste system, because it's clear, it's a caste system that we live under, and we can be massacred, you know what I'm saying, in front of Tops store in Buffalo, and we don't get any bills or anything like that. Biden's like, hey, we're gonna sign this Asian thing, and the thing is that if you look at scale, all the atrocities that have happened, all the random acts of violence that have gone against the Asian community, the numbers are, in the dozens. You know what I'm saying? In the dozens, maybe the hundreds. They're not even in the thousands or millions. Meanwhile, we've got, millions and millions of black people that have been slaughtered here in the U.S., hundreds of thousands of lynchings and mass murders, and, across, a couple 100-year span, and we don't get a bill today. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. They're showing their true face, and obviously Biden's not going to get a second term. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Trump or whoever else is running, they're going to have an easy time, beating Biden. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's all I got to say. So yeah, peace. All right, boom. This is another TTM Academy lecture. This is DJ Radon. And yeah, so today we're going to talk about BTS. BTS. All right. BTS is still playing the Grammys. And, they've canceled Kanye from the Grammys, for having online beef. Meanwhile, they're like, oh, scary black dude. But meanwhile, BTS has actually been caught wearing full brown shirt regalia. I don't even want to say the word too much, but, as far, the same uniform that Germany was wearing, you know what I'm saying, World War II. So that party, the Nazi party, he was wearing an actual hat. The guy, one of the lead singers from BTS. Now, to try to cover that up, they gave Black Lives Matter $1 million. If you look that up, BTS, the K-pop group.
South Korean boy band BTS has donated $1 million to Black Lives Matter, its music label said on Sunday. The 7-member K-pop group had tweeted on Thursday in support of US protests, saying they stand against racial discrimination and condemn violence, and adding that everyone has the right to be respected. That tweet went viral and has since sparked a wave of donations under the hashtag #MatchAMillion, which encourages BTS's legion of fans known as ARMY, an acronym for Adorable Representative MC for Youth, to match the band's $1 million donation.
It's a very, very interesting dynamic, because it shows that we still do have a racial hierarchy pyramid within the caste systems around the world. The caste systems create these racial hierarchies to where us black males being on the bottom, remember black male is also a Trojan for extortion, right? Because to blackmail somebody means to extort them. So not only is the definition of who we are a form of deprecation, right? It's a negative Trojan, and for those who don't know what a Trojan is, in computer programming and hacking worlds, a Trojan is like a Trojan horse. So, it's like a gift. You think you got a gift, that's a big horse, but inside is a bunch of soldiers that are going to jump out and knock you in the head and pillage your village. Right, so when you take that same frame of logic to, grimoire, right? The arts of being able to, manifest things through and manifest commands, things like that, spellings. all that stuff becomes, really, really important, so for Trojans, when we call us, when people say like, oh, he's a black male, oh, he's a crazy black man, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, she's a big black woman, like a lot of these words, they like to put those words together, like crazy black, big black, scary black, dangerous and black, and our skin, Kanye's skin's not even black. My skin is not black. Nobody has black skin. Nobody has white skin. So these are fictitious casts that have been made up by the top cast, right? So we know that the Asian cast is at a higher cast. If you read the bell curve and things like that, a lot of Western Europeans and Asians believe it. They believe that whole bell curve myth that Europeans and Asians are smarter than black people like me. But I know that's fake because we were the ones that built the universities for them. We gave them words, and masonry. You know what I'm saying? Masonry is probably. Oh yeah, so like a week before the Grammys, shout out to everybody at TTM Academy. This is an extension to this lecture I was just doing on BTS. Facebook was like glitching out what I was saying and chopping it up, and because I had in a thing where I couldn't see what was happening. I couldn't see if it was recording or not. And then I went on for like a half an hour, and it had already stopped recording. So I'm starting back up this lecture when I was in New York. All right, it got cut off when I was at Times Square. So this is about BTS and the Grammys. I was talking about it before the Grammys even came out, but then Facebook messed up that whole lecture. But now I think maybe my reception's better, but it's interesting because that you'll notice that the lecture drops right when I was talking about masonry, African masonry, and stuff like that, and Egyptian pyramids and stuff like that. But yeah. So let's get back to BTS. Yeah. So now I've had a lot of turntablists. There's a lot of backlash for me talking about the whole Swift style thing. And you got to remember with the whole DJ Kubert matter that Craze called out. Craze put a rift in turntablism. Now there's the turntablists that are like, hey, let's not talk about race, and then they have all their racist homies that are happy about that too. You know what I'm saying? And then there's the people that are on the Craze side. You know what I'm saying? And so today we're talking about BTS, and what happens as far as in Europe. I'm sorry, in Asia. It's worldwide, but discrimination of black people all across Asia. So BTS had to pay Black Lives $1 million to try to change their PR. But yeah, they literally were wearing Nazi regalia, and they weren't banned from they weren't banned from the Grammys, right? So BTS was literally wearing Nazi regalia, and they weren't banned from the Grammys, right? It's like, that's pretty crazy. You know what I'm saying? Nobody objected to it, but Kanye just had some rants and stuff like that, and they banned him from the Grammys. So referencing the humiliation lecture we just did on Buck ritual, humiliation rituals, and all that stuff. All that stuff is it's a historical thing. It's not even like any type of so-called theories and things like that. When people talk about critical race theory and stuff, they're actually just talking about history. And if the top cast, the status quo, doesn't like that history, they just call it some name. And they've been burning books and denying people history for generations and generations and generations, hundreds of years. So to see that BTS is actually able to play the Grammys with no problem, wearing actual brown shirt, actual regalia, that's very, very serious thing. When one group of people can get away with something, and then another group of people does something very, very minor, and they get a large infraction. So that's when you're in a caste system. A caste system is when it's the like the Dalits in India, the Dalit caste. Let's say they just somebody steals an apple, right? Somebody steals an apple. It's like, oh, you go to jail for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? Whereas somebody, a Brahmin from the top caste, if they steal an apple, obviously they're not going to get 8 years in jail for stealing an apple. You know what I'm saying? The same thing happens here, where if a person that is on the top cast, they go to court, and let's say they got caught with some, drugs or something, and then a guy that's at the bottom cast, if he gets caught with the same drugs, then, they've proven that the bottom caste person, like myself, the black person, will get more time for doing the same crime, just like, for the same job, will get less money. So a caste system is created to be able to, and people call it race, like you're winning a race, like who's first, who's second in the race, who's third, who's fourth, and if you go, to the Asian supremacy pyramids of hierarchy, in China they have Chinese supremacy, but even in, Korea and Japan, there's a lot of supremacy going on. And so this is kind of a segue into, we're going to be doing the Eastern version of the B-face chart. You know what I'm saying? I got to say B-face for the algorithms, but we're going to be using the Eastern version of the B-face. And when I'm saying B-face, I'm talking about using black paint to color one's face, and to ridicule my group of people called black folks, right? People ridicule us and they put on the paint. So we're gonna, explore that ritual, that from Little Black Sambo, being an Indian novel, all the way to even talking about Pol Pot, and there's millions and millions of people who were slaughtered over the wars in Asia over the past over the past 100 years, 100 just really the past 150 years, just so many people were killed all around the world, but just within Asia alone, you know what I'm saying, a lot of the dark-skinned Asians disappeared. If you look at all the old pictures, you see there were, the original people of Asia were darker skinned, were dark, we've proven before in older lectures that, the Jawara tribe, all people from Asia derive from a tribe that's off of India, the Jawara, right? And the Andaman Islands, right? So they're off of the Andaman Islands. Now their DNA is crossbred, so they're not the original L1 stock. Like I'm the original L1 mitochondria. My mother was lucky enough to have a mother from the Mississippi Delta civilization, and they were able to go from the southern tip of Africa through the Pacific, through South America, and coming into these Caribbean civilizations. So my people come from Mississippi, but so I have that L1 original mitochondria, the Eve mitochondria. But the Andaman Islands, they were back crossed, and if you want to understand what back crossing is when you're it's still a person that's a humanoid or whatever, but then the mitochondria is back crossed from a non-human mother. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the Y chromosome with males, you can inject all different types of features and things like characteristics and things like that, but the mitochondria would power the cells and things like that. So the people from the Andaman Islands, the Jawara tribe, all Indians and Asians today derive from them. And these people are still very, still totally dark skinned, very, very kinky hair. And in future lectures, I'm going to be showing my system of hair analysis, by using curls per decimeter versus this whole thing that Oprah's hairstylist started, right? But so we'll be exploring that, and I'll be announcing, my methodology, my hair analysis methodology, because they're trying to break hair groups into like maybe 8 different groups and things like that. But really, there's so many different types of hair, and hair textures, follicles per inch. That system that Oprah's person made up is a very, very flawed system. So I've already done stuff like lectures on that on Facebook, but I'll release all that type of stuff. But yeah, so as far as that tribe, everybody from the Chinese scientists tried to prove that maybe Chinese people emerged strictly from China, but they the out of Africa thing is, it hasn't been disproven as far as, the L1s coming out and the L3s, mixing with the Neanderthals. You know what I'm saying? So the people from the Andaman Islands, they're, although they don't look like modern Asians, all modern Asians come from them. So these rituals, these like B-face rituals, take on a whole nother context because when it's like if you think about on a smaller level, this person's about to try to cross me over a bridge. It's so dangerous what they're doing. But if you look at it on a familial level, right, and you might leave your home when you're 18 and you're like, nah, I don't want to live with my parents anymore, and some people have a good relationship with their family or their ancestors. Some people have a bad relationship. Some people never talk to them again. Some people still want to live with them or see them all the time, right? But a lot of people don't like their relatives or their ancestors, and they want to flee, or they might want to diss them, and that's kind of what happens with a lot of racial ridicules, because black people are the ancestors to everybody. So it's like, if they're going to be doing the B-face stuff, then they're just like ridiculing their ancestors, ridiculing, Eve, ridiculing, ridiculing the genetic Eve is what I'm speaking of. I'm not talking about biblical Eves or anything like that, Abrahamic, or, I'm just talking about the genetic L1, the L Eve, the L haplogroup, right? But so it's like, why is that, And Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she proposed the theory that, it's a fear of genetic annihilation. People that are recessive, lighter skins recessive, and having that fear of genetic annihilation, people use racism as a tool to, to keep their particular breed or stock in power, or, in charge, or whatever, to create unfair laws. And we've seen, even with like Squid Games, to me personally, Squid Games is kind of anti-Asian, in the sense that it's, gratuitous. It's, Netflix and, Western producers funding gratuitous violence against Asian people. You know what I'm saying? Because it was funded by Netflix or whatever, funded by the West. And to me, I'm against the things that they do in China, all the dogmatic things, but sometimes they do block things that are anti-Asian and things like that. So it's like, they say that Squid Games was like the number one thing that people in China have seen. I think more people have seen. There's more views within China of Squid Games than the actual people that live in China, like over 1.6 billion, right? Views. Like maybe Squid Games has like 2 billion views in China so far or something. It was really, really big. But I can understand why different governments in Asia would want to hide that. But the thing is, if you go to Asia right now, I was talking about otaku culture. I'm gonna wrap this up. Otaku culture is basement dweller culture, right? And it also connects with the alt-right, the right wing. So BTS was always a part of that movement. They were always a part of the kind of 2chan, 4chan, 8chan kind of culture. You know what I'm saying? So they were always kind of on that tip. So they apologized for wearing the brown shirt hats, the World War II Germany hats, and they paid Black Lives $1 million. But it's just like, it's like whatever, it's like, and a lot of people are talking about the Grammys, about that reggae group that won best reggae, and be like, oh, it's messed up, they're boxing us out. And that's what I've been saying. My last lecture was about being boxed out of turntablism. Every single genre, they're trying to box us out because we invent the genres, and they're trying to box us out. Even masonry, it's like we invented cement work and buildings and all that type of stuff. Like I was saying before, if you want to parallel things, the whole world was just using sticks and mud when about 5K years ago in Egypt, it was like the great period of all the great structures, So Now, why would they diss us? Like I was saying in the past lecture, in China, they're trying to tell the kids that the pyramids don't even exist, that the pyramids are fake and they're made out of styrofoam and stuff like that. They tell all types of fiction to the youth. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of propaganda out there. Even South Korea, of course, North Korea. We know it's pure propaganda, but South Korea, it's that's some next stuff. You know what I'm saying? Of what people really go through. I was just watching this thing where this woman who's a sister that was a teacher in Korea was like, "Don't ever teach out there." She was saying they made her eat her students' leftovers, and sometimes the teachers had to bow down on their knees to apologize to students, and because it was like a school with like some celebrity kids, like BTS kind of celebrity kids, and now they're talking about making BTS actually go to the military, and have to fight since they're of age. But we'll see what happens with all that. But this is just about the hypocrisy. So I'm ending this lecture. This is just about the hypocrisy, and BTS wearing World War II outfits and still being able to play the Grammys. You know what I'm saying? While a black guy like Kanye gets banned from the Grammys and wins his Grammys at the Grammys he's banned from just for online beef. You know what I'm saying? Online with beef with the guy that's made really, really heinous jokes about kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he's leading Sunday service. Kanye's leading Sunday service. He's trying to be upstanding citizen and being a good dad and being there, wanting to be at the birthday parties and things like that. But they look at black male enthusiasm. Like if a black male is enthusiastic and wants to be there for his son or his kids, they look at enthusiasm as like, oh, he's being possessive. You know what I'm saying? But Kanye's not being possessive by just wanting to see his kid. You know what I'm saying? They try to make, with that, they try to make attributes, with black males. They try to reverse everything with us. It's like, you guys are black males, you guys are extortion. We're gonna use that muggle magic, and they try to just, turn us into the opposite. So it's like, oh, if it's an enthusiastic dad, they say like, oh, that's not enthusiastic dad. That's a crazy possessive stalker dad. They turn enthusiasm into stalker, So, back to Japan, I was in this big multi-level mall that had all different types of stuff. It was like, it was like a whole Pokemon floor, right? So then I found all the, the blackface Pokemons and stuff like that. We're going to get into all that stuff when we get into the B-Face chart for the Eastern version, because we already did the Western version B-Face chart, proving that, the origins of B-Face in the Christmas holiday, and, it's, it being supplanted into the Americas, coming from the EU, coming from Europe, before it was called the EU, obviously, but, coming from Europe and the UK, so now, as we get into the Eastern version of the B-Face chart, we're going to be focusing mostly on probably just, Southeast Asia, and, Japan and China and the landlocked places. Because, once you get to the Pacific, everybody's black. The black Pacific is, those are the original Pacific people. Like I was saying, with my L1 haplogroup, we traveled from southern Africa through the Pacific, and we, through the Americas. You know what I'm saying? And you can actually see those lineage type things on some of the DNA tests. Most of these DNA test things are fake, especially when they tell you about heritage. But the haplogroup information is real. Haplogroup information, or whether somebody's your brother or sister, that's real. But all the nationality stuff is fake on those, those genetic ancestry things. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's a lot of political legitimacy involved in that. But yeah, so yeah, to wrap things up, my experience in Asia, just seeing that like blackface thing when I was in, when I was out there, and just like I remember I turned on TV and they had this show in Japan of this dude, like this brother that was like 6'8" and like 260 pounds, like just a really big cat, and they were like throwing pies in his face and like slapping him and stuff, and like he was like a buffoon on Japanese television. And he was the only brother that I saw on Japanese television. And I'm sure if y'all, Maido to everybody in Japan. I'm sure y'all know who I'm talking about. That guy. I'm not talking about the guy that's the most famous black dude in Japan. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the dude that, they have him like running through hula hoops and stuff like that on those like Japanese game shows where it's like, all types of crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? They got crazy game shows and a lot of really sexist game shows. A lot of, sexual exploitation of women, degradation and humiliation stuff. And that's when it comes to the incel culture because, BTS, a lot of the K-pop is, the core of the K-pop is incel culture, because to Americans, we look at it like, oh, pop is like the people that are like the cool kids at school, not as like the goth kids, but out there it's actually the goth kids and the right wing kids. I mean, not goth like the ones that are just wearing black. I mean like right wing incel kind of weeb kind of culture, otaku culture. You know what I'm saying? There's even the kids that lock themselves inside the rooms and they're like, hey, I don't want to, I don't want to ever go to school, or I don't want to go to work, or I just want to live in my mom's house and lock myself in here and play video games all day. They have a name for every single culture, for every little subculture thing, and even subculture mental illness. Because with the otaku culture, it really is a mental illness. Because you take a lot of a lot of anime stuff is very very dangerous. You know what I'm saying? As far as how it depicts women, tentacle anime stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Stuff like that. Where the tentacles make somebody explode or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like they get real violent with this stuff, and even stuff depicting kids and stuff like that. So we know that culture gets really really dark, dark in the sense of we're talking about just negativity and hate to even use that word, but yeah, I'll just say negative concepts. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so we're gonna wrap this BTS thing up, but yeah, people try to say like, yeah, Q-Bert, Q-Bert's not racist and stuff like that, but if you look at actually what happened with the whole All Lives Matter Q-Bert thing, he got caught out there, and shout out to Dante Ross, who you heard him get dissed in the famous song, or maybe he got a shot on that song, but it was Gas Face. He was in Gas Face, that song, but yeah, I'm talking about Third Base Gas Face with MF Doom in it, right? I feel like they talk about Dante Ross in it. But Dante Ross is the one that was like, yo, Q-Bert, you on some All Lives Matter stuff? And he's like, hell yeah, All Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yo, we know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that it's not even a mystery. And we got people like Odilon putting him on the head of the bill. Notice Craze is losing more shows because of all this, or more underground turntablist nerd bookings. Craze is losing more from this in the turntablist community than Q-Bert is, right? The turntablist community is more on some All Lives Matter stuff than Craze being on some against that. You know what I'm saying? Being on some progressive stuff, because you don't have to be BLM to be against All Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not BLM, but I'm obviously against All Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? Because of where they're coming from, not because of the general statement. Obviously, if it's an axiom, that's something different, but it's cultural context. All right, but that's all I had to say about BTS, because that stuff is really spreading, and also I'm gonna do another lecture later on about the weird rap group and all that stuff, and how the weeb incel culture even relates to the underground hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Because it's affecting everything.
In the YouTube or social media like Facebook or Twitter, I see Thai people talking about Hitler in a good way quite a lot. Like, they see Hitler as like the strong dictator or the good leader that bring the nation to something better. But I think they ignore the other side, or the thing that really happened and the people that get killed or get hurt from the thing that the Nazis have done to Europe.
And so we're gonna look at Tila Tequila. All right, so this is just to lay the groundwork that within. So yeah, she did this thing right here that caused a lot of controversy, where Tila Tequila wore like a, let's see, just like Prince Harry, just like Meghan Markle's husband. I'm talking about Tila because there's a movement within the Asian community, be it 4chan, be it TikTok, be it a lot of different things all over the world. There's a lot of racism in Asia directed at black people, but you can see that Tila is also a Trump fan, and I'm not. This thing is not about politics. Really, it's more about race relations and why DJ Craze would come for DJ Qbert. But this is just giving a little background and the fact that even within the Filipino American community, there is hatred towards black people.
Hey guys, it's Hiroko from Asian Boss. There is a popular Japanese slang that's taking Japan by storm. It's called Maji Manji, and this symbol was voted the #1 buzzword among Japanese schoolgirls in 2016. Are you curious as to what it is? Let's hit the streets of Tokyo to find out. このシンボルって何ですか？マンジ。マンジ。これちょっとどんな意味かちょっと教えていただけますか？
なんか若い人たちがなんか何でも語尾にマンジそうつける感じ。
意味ないと思ってたんですけど、なんとなく言ってるような感じが、マジみたいな感じの意味ですかね。
最後に語尾につける感じ。そう、なんとかマンジみたいな。
お腹空いたマンジみたいな。それは違うか。
そういうことです。
このマークって日本ではどのくらい知られていますか？
LINE で見ます。
LINE？ はい。なんでですか？
LINE で語尾につけるから。
普通に口頭でマンジみたいな、マンジマンジみたいに言ってる人がいる。なんかインスタとかツイッターとか、なんか SNS の投稿に最後にマンジみたいな、ハッシュタグマンジみたいな。
携帯のスノーっていう写真のやつで
アプリでなんかマンジの加工ができるっていうのがあります。マンジの加工、はい、今日そのスタンプで撮ってみてもいいですか？いいですよ。はい。このマークって手でも表現したりしますか？します。ちょっとやってみてもらってもいいですか？こうちょっともう一回やってもらっていいですか？こうわかんない。どっちだろう。なんか戦隊もののヒーローみたいですね。じゃあこれ結構若者はみんなできるものなんですか？多分できる。JK は日本ではこのシンボルはどんな意味があるんですか？
お寺さんのマークですから地図を見るときにねどこにお寺があるかっていうのを探すのにじゃあここにお寺があるんだから今自分はどこにいるんだってことが分かると。
迷信だろうけどここの道このまんじゅうマークの道を行くと、いいことがあるとか。
いつ頃できたマークなんですかね？江戸時代。江戸時代。本当に？いやでも江戸時代ぐらいから。それはなんで江戸時代だと思ったんですか？
昔の象徴みたいな江戸時代は。
この2つの写真を見ていただいて2つの違いを教えていただけますか？角度。角度。
でも多分反転してるかな。してます。
わからない。同じじゃないんですか？
ちょっと違いますね。ちなみにこっち側左は
これマンジ。
はい。じゃあ右側は何だと思いますか？
なんかバンドのシャムシェイドのマークっぽく見えるのは
何マンジですか？スポーツブランドのロゴ。
転んじゃった。
風車か風力発電機。じゃあどんな人が使うマークなんですかね？
お坊さん？寺とかだからなんかそういう。
なんかいい意味だと思いますか？悪い意味だと思いますか？
どうなんだ？どっちでもなさそう。
悪い意味ではない気がするけど。
これがお寺でこっちがナチスですよ。
そうなんです。西洋の国ではこのマークはナチスのマークなんですよ。
ナチスってなんだっけ？なんだっけ？
ナチスちょっと待ってください。ナチスわからないですか？
聞いたことある。
ナチスをちゃんとわからないですか？
わからない。
じゃあヒトラーは？
わかる。
ナチスは 悪かった気がするな。
ナチスをよく覚えてない。じゃあヒトラーは知ってる？
ヒトラー知ってる。大量殺人を犯した人。
海外ではこのマークは人種差別や嫌悪、大量殺戮の象徴とされていますが、日本ではこの事実が知られていると思いますか？
若い人知らないんじゃないかな。
マークまでは習わなかった。そういう事実があったことは習ったけれど、マーク自体は習わなかったです、私の時代に。
でもみんな多分意味も知らないです。ただ使ってるだけ。流行りだから使ってんじゃないですか。
知られてないよね。絶対だって普通にもう漢字めっちゃ使ってるから。多分知られてない。今の聞いてびっくりしました。びっくりした。初めて知った。
BTS is dealing with a whole lot of controversy right now after people notice some of their fashion choices. So here's a shot of Jimin in a 2017 episode of BTS's show Bon Voyage. So Japanese media brought attention to the shirt that features the atomic bomb exploding over Japan in 1945. The shirt celebrated South Korea's independence from Japan.
Yeah, it caused such backlash that a Japanese TV show canceled a scheduled appearance by BTS a couple of days ago. Jimin reportedly told the crowd during their concert last night that his heart really aches over the incident, but others are pointing out that this is not the first time the guy's fashion choices have come into question.
Yeah, so here's a shot from the 2015 photo shoot. So the symbol on the hat of the Death's Head units. They ran the Nazi concentration camps during World War II.
And back at the White House on the last day of Asian American and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month.
We thank President Biden and the White House for giving this important opportunity to speak about the important causes, remind ourselves of what we can do as artists.